Hello and welcome to the Insider at Home, the show that brings you the best in show jumping. Over the last few months, we've had some very interesting guests. We got a lot of insights and learned a lot about how they train those icons of the Global Champions League and the Longines Global Champions Tour. This Insider at Home episode is something different. In this episode, we bring you the best of the Insider at Home. Have a look at those memorable moments of the Insider at Home.
From the beginning, it was the idea of making it a more global sport. And I think the league competitions have now putting riders who normally would never be together on a team together, and you get new owners and you get this new camaraderie and this new sort of event essentially. And it changes the whole game, and the prize money is huge, and the incentives are amazing. So I think change is great. And I think things like the Global Champions League and the whole tour itself push the sport forward. And we need that. I mean, like I said, I'm a proponent of pushing the sport forward into, as far as we can push it. And I think things like the league do that.
And actually, it's unbelievable. And there I would love to say big thank you to Longines Global Champions Tour that they offer us all these fantastic, amazing shows. And it's just unbelievable, you cannot describe it. When you are in Vinovo, sitting in the sun, good food, good weather, but in 3 days you are in Mexico, and in 1 week in Miami, and in 2 weeks after you are sitting in Shanghai. So that's unbelievable, and I think it makes my life very special.
Well, of course, he also comments that the sport has changed dramatically. If you see 10 or 15 years ago and you see it now, I'm very curious how the sport is going to be in 15 years. It doesn't stand still. It just keeps growing and it becomes bigger and bigger. And I think it's very nice for us as riders as well to go to these nice cities and go to these nice places. But maybe without horses, we would have never been there. And I think it makes it so special that you can go all these special places and really ride against the best riders in the world there.
It's the special locations, obviously. It's great to be able to go to a horse show and also be in cities like Rome or Paris. Everybody dreams of traveling there. So to get to do what we love and be in those great cities is fantastic for me.
Our achievement is to be top. That is what we want to be. We don't want to be filling the list. We want to be on top. And with the riders and the horses we have, it should be possible. But it's a very strong field we are competing against. The best in the world, the best horses, the best riders. So it's not walk in the park. This is difficult, even if you try. If you have one down, you slide down the rank straight away.
It requires us to bring top 5-star horses, for the GCL and for the GCT. So I think people have just really started to realize, oh my gosh, we need 2 Grand Prix horses at every global. It's not really a game anymore,
When somebody sees the two of you, Jessica and you, walking the course, discussing around afterwards, good or bad, on-site or off-site, away from the showgrounds, it does give you the feel that it's much more than a purely trainer-pupil relationship. It feels like there's a lot of friendship involved as well.
There really is. I mean, we've been working for 4 years together, and 4 years is a long time. And really, I think I'm really privileged to call it also a friendship. For sure, she's still my mentor, and she really knows and has the skill in the show jumping and helps me that way. But a lot has happened in the 4 years, a lot of ups and downs in the sport and outside of the sport. And I think we have a pretty close friendship, or at least I would like to say that I do.
My family is non-horsey. They didn't understand the riding, and they thought I was too small and I was going to get hurt. And I've always been a little bit of a daredevil, that I like doing things with animals and I liked sports, and it just seemed like a great combination. So the Kramers, I begged them all the time for if I could earn something around the barn. I wanted to work with the horses and groom, but they said I was too small. So I worked in they had a dog and a cat kennel. So I started off working in a dog and cat kennel in exchange for riding lessons, and you had pleasure rides with the horses and everything. And I didn't really think of it as work. I loved working I loved animals. So in the cat kennels, that was easy because cats go in a little box, they have a litter box. So that was quite easy.
I remember a very good one. The first time I saw Explosion, I was in Wellington for the Winter Equestrian Festival, and the horse jumped there in Nations Cup at the time, not with Ben, with an English girl. I forgot her name for the moment, and then Neil Moffat said it's going to be a good horse. And then a couple months later, Ben Mayer started taking him to the shows and just putting the one clear round after the other clear round. And then, of course, together with Clooney, you've got a team that really, I mean, it's like having Ronaldo and Messi in the same team. I mean, having those two in one team made, of course, a huge difference for us as well.
I mean, I think in general, I'm a very candid person. Like, to me, my whole sort of way that I live my life is just like, own your choices. And if I have a bad day and I screw up in the ring, like, I'm not just going to hide behind the fact of a pretty round or something, you know, a clear round. I think that sharing those hardships are what everybody has them. And I think it's crazy when I follow people or I hear from other people and they're like, no, you can't tell anyone that you had a fault or that you screwed up and you chipped or something. Like, yeah, but we all do that. And I think it's crazy when everything looks so perfect, because nothing is perfect out there. We all have these days. And so for me, it's so important, as positive as I am as a person, it's so important that I like actually express those bad days, because yeah, sometimes that makes me feel less alone. Everyone needs that sort of confidence from other people a little bit. You need to know that you're not alone out there. And when I share a bad day and then I get a comment back from somebody that says, oh my God, I had the same thing, I think, oh, good, I'm not alone.
The emotions of all of us, I think, was actually a little bit down, because we were so on fire and we really wanted to go on this podium. So it was for all of us just a big shame, because we said, no, how can it be possible?
There's going to be hurdles in everything you do, but you got to just work through them and try and learn from them and be positive and just be very determined, never give up. I mean, it was funny that my first instructor, that was one thing she said, take the word can't out of your vocabulary.
I think if you see Legend of Love and Katanga, a little bit similar the way they are if you see them. I think also she was a horse. I had to change my riding a bit to her, not the other way around, because that doesn't work with her. So
when I walk the course, afterwards I visualize it, and then I just forget about it. And then I warm up and I really focus on on my horse and warming up and these things. And then when I have one rider to go, I jump off, or maybe two riders to go, I jump off. And then I visualize the course again. Normally, I don't need to even look at the paper, but sometimes, I was like, what was it now? Was it 6 or 7? Then I have my paper. I don't need to ask anybody else and so on. And that gives me a bit of security.
When I started, I got every horse that nobody else wanted to ride. They'd say, oh, well, ask Margie to ride. She'll ride anything. And Mrs. Kramer used to tease me. She said, if I brought a donkey out here, you'd probably get on it.
It's very, very special to be ambassador of Longines, and I'm actually very honored, and I cannot say thank you enough to be there, to grow up with them, to travel around with them. It's fantastic. It's a fantastic team, and that I would like to take this moment to say thank you very much for whatever you do for our sport.
I can imagine it was a great feeling for yourself. What do you think, Eric, it meant to Marta Ortega as a team owner, with so much media at display, with so much money at stake? How did it feel for her, you think?
Yeah, she was, of course, very enthusiastic, and she really enjoyed it. And for us, she's a great support. And then it's also good if you can make it on the end of the season, even if we didn't have a great season during the year, but she always was behind us and supporting us, the whole team. And if you can make it then in such a good final with such a good result, then that makes it even more special, of course.
It was a great feeling. It was unbelievable, actually.
Yeah, it was a fantastic show, and I can imagine it was a great feeling.
But it was better feeling for us than for him, sadly for him.
Did you speak to him afterwards, or to anybody of that team?
Yeah, we all met. We all met afterwards. Didn't speak about his mistake, but of course we all congratulated each other. And I mean, that's how the sport is. The margins are so small, And sometimes you can knock a pole and it stays up. Sometimes it falls down. The only thing to focus on is to try to be as high level as possible all the time. Then sooner or later, you're going to have a weekend like we had there in Prague. Then you're going to win.
It's like if you like ice cream or chocolate, I have both, Yeah. But it's very hard to choose. To win the overall is probably tell you more about your success over a full year, than the 1 day or 2 days in Prague,
Yeah.
So I think from a sport angle, it will be the overall which will be the most important to win, because that shows that you've been very good over nearly 20 shows,
Yeah. With that in the back of our minds, how do you look at the performances of London Knights over the last 2 years, 2018, 2019?
Yeah, they've been very, very strong, and they are very professional, and they're top riders, they have top horses, but you see there, the first year on the playoff, they were unlucky, on the day, and they win everything, and then on that day it didn't function, and I don't think it's the top 4 goes on to the second day, but I don't think it's an advantage. I think it's fine to be in the first day because the horses in Prague is a special ring, and I think it's a great advantage to be also riding the first day.
To have that extra round.
And you get 100,000 more, so.
Not so bad. The calculator keeps working with Geir Gulliksen.
No, but I think for the sport, it showed every year. If you ride the first day, the horses are jumping better,
Yeah.
For sure, as you're hinting, it is to jump a clear round in the Grand Prix. I've dreamed of that ever since I started competing in the Tour, and it's what I will be working towards and really wanting to accomplish in 2021. It's not easy, as you can see. Of course, there are young riders that have accomplished that, and I really want to be, a part of that group and be able to get into that jump off and, start pushing on the pedal in the jump offs.
So behind, I think the biggest picture, it's my mother. She's riding dressage actually for quite a long time now. She's always been riding, but she got fully committed to dressage like I think 10, 12 years ago, I think. And then down below, we've got actually pictures from my father, from my little brothers, who are also competing now at international level. They're turning 19 and 17. And then we have also more pictures from my father and Darko at the time. So it's a little bit a wall of new and older stuff here at the office.
Honestly, my father is like a huge idol of mine. That sounds so silly to say, but really, I idolized him from day one. He was a professional athlete. He was #1 in the world in squash. And he knew what it took, and he knows what it takes to get to the top of the sport, of any sport. And so for me, it was always, firing back and forth between me and him as to what do I do in order to improve myself and to be the best. And so I think for me, he inspired me to follow my own path. And sure, there were lots of other people that inspired small things, but from the sport perspective, he's the one who, made me believe I could get to the top.
I would have to say my dad was a big part of my success happening so fast. He has a real great mentality for getting things done, and that has obviously rubbed off on me. I also was always surrounded by top horse people, so I was always learning every day something. And I had just made a goal for myself, and it didn't matter to me how I was getting there. So, it helps that I had great horses like Tommy. He often picked better distances than myself, so that does help. But, it's just a mentality. When you have that go-getter, let's get it done, you don't let anything get in your way, nothing's going to stop you.
As you said, my parents, especially my mom, is extremely involved, especially around the show program that was put together for the GC playoffs. I was, I wouldn't like to say in charge, but really part of the core marketing and getting the people, the Czech citizens who don't have something to do with the horses, who aren't connected to show jumping, to get them involved and interested. And it was, a lot of work from everybody in the family.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Honestly, when I come out of the courses, I look at his face, and when I think, oh, what happened, I look at him and my smile is coming back again, because he's such an amazing boy, and he lives this sport together with me, these vibes, these emotions, everything. And he gives me actually also the power, to go through this. And he is lovely, because if I come out, sometimes he tells me why you did this or what you did there. But he always tells me such in a nice way, these kind of things, that it's honestly fantastic to have a boy like him.
Yeah, my father is now 84, but he's still full of ideas. I hope I will go the same way when I get older. And now he has this project that, soundness of show jumping horses is crucial. And most careers of show jumpers, they end because of soundness. So the longer we can get the horses to be in the sport, the better for the horses and for us. So this project is a bit to raise the horses in a way that they can have a long, healthy life in the sport. And it's basically that they should move a lot when they are young. They should not stand in small paddocks or be inside too much. They should be outside and move over big areas. The problem is to get the horses to move, because normally if they have food, they will just stand still and eat, and they will play a little bit, when they feel for it. But this project is on a very big space, and they have to move to get food and water. So, and then they are now just following and seeing how much they are actually moving and how it affects the horses and the quality of the hooves and these things. I think it's very interesting.
I think that whole concept of giving young riders who wouldn't have a chance to ride, at all the 5 stars against the top riders in the world. I mean, that's such valuable experience that you can't get without actually just doing it. And without something like having the U25 rider on the team, those riders would have no chance to be on the tour. So, I mean, I wish I had that opportunity when I was younger. And I think it's an unbelievable program to be have as part of this tour.
I think it's important to only let so much negativity, it's important to take some and think, okay, they may have a point, but it's also more important to think, okay, I'll take that, but I'm still going to accomplish my goals and dreams no matter what it takes. I find that when I guess I still am growing up, but when I was younger and growing up, that a lot of people will try and sway you from your path, and you just can't. It has to go in one ear and out the other, and you have to have one goal, one accomplishment. We're going to do this no matter what it takes sort of mindset. So I think that's what I would tell younger people.
We all know each other from before because we meet at shows and we're good friends, but I really enjoy riding in the same team with some and meet new riders, because it's special when you ride in a team together. I mean, we support each other, and we know it's a lot of stake. It's important classes, and it gives an extra dimension to ride in the team together, and I really enjoy it.
I think the first year we came into the team of the London Knights, I think Mr. Moffat was very, very clear. He said, listen, guys, I want to win. Simple as that, he said. He's a very competitive person. And we're very glad that he took us aboard together with my brother. And then what I think for us that made the big difference is we always went for the team class. We said on the long term, we have to focus on the team results. And I think together with Ben, we made a good structure for the amount of shows. So we had a good plan through all season with our good horses. So I think that on the end made a very big difference to have the right plan and the right horse at the right shows. And I think that made a difference on the end.
Yeah, I think that's important. Neil Moffat, Poland Farms, owner of the London Knights, as Emily said earlier, it's not a game. It's a big deal now, the Champions League, and it's important. And if you want to be on our team, it is a priority. You have to put the team first. And to be honest, from experience, by putting the team first, it's brought individual results up going forward into the GCL as well. So I don't see it as a negative. And I think some of the boys on our team have seen that, and they take confidence from that. And absolutely, if you don't want to be on the winning team, then you shouldn't be part of our team. And that's a little bit the motto that we stand by.
But you see, like a world rider like Christian Allman, you know, he's won everything in the world. And you think like he will try to save his best horse for the Grand Prix and, you know, just do his way, try to do best in the Grand Prix. But he is the best team rider I can imagine. You know, if I had to pick one in the world, I'd pick him. He always says yes when I ask him if I need him. He always say yes. He's unbelievable, and he's such a easy guy. He's first of all, he's a fantastic rider, but most importantly, he's such a good team rider. You know, like he gives everything for the team. You know, I really admire him, and the same Evelina. You know, she's been one of the best team riders we ever had.
And Rockefeller is rock solid all the way to the finish as Madrid in motion have come from behind here. They were 10th in the championship through the season.
It always will stay in my good memories, of course, just what my father said before, to win that first GCL final. I think that's, you know, who won it is that it's a win who goes in the history, and we are very proud of that moment, especially when the whole season went maybe not as good as we planned, but we knew, of course, that we had some good riders there with a few fantastic horses, and I think at that moment, that week, I think we all rode very strong, and we had the horses in the right shape, I think, on the good moment.
Like you say, I think it's very important to be curious and try to learn new things and move forward. I think that's the only way to stay in the top of the sport. And just to watch, like you say, like Piers or Daniel school a horse, I think you can learn a lot just by watching, actually.
You know, laughing is the best medicine. The sport has a lot of ups and downs, so you've got to kind of laugh at yourself on the first one that's ready to laugh at yourself as something goes wrong, which it does a lot.
Well, those were some of those memorable moments from those amazing guests that were part of these Insider at Home series. Normally, when we bring you highlights, that means it's the end of a season. For us, it is not the end. Stay tuned, because very soon we will bring you a new version of the Insider, not at home, but somewhere else.